For 2 weeks straight, I created an entirely new Etsy shop so I could show you how I make an Etsy listing, how I design everything, how I do the market research. I do have a 1-hour tutorial on the entire process, but in this video, I want to show you the design part of that. So how exactly I designed this sorority resume template. I'm also going to talk about my tips for designing templates. I have a bunch of Canva shortcuts that I use all the time. I'm going to talk about how to design something good for graphic design in general if you don't really have graphic design experience. And I'm also going to share how to make a variation on a new listing and how to organize my Canva. So up until this point, I had already done market research and decided that my niche for my second Etsy shop is going to be resume templates and career related stuff. So for this one specifically, I spent 45 minutes researching and looking over other Etsy listings and looking at blog articles, watching videos, just researching the design part. And then the actual designing part took an hour and 45 minutes. And why the research part is so important to me is because for me, I have never joined a sorority. I am comfortable with making resumes though in general. I would say I'm above average when it comes to writing resumes and cover letters. For sorority stuff, I have no idea how recruitment works. So that's why I had to spend 45 minutes looking at other people's Etsy designs, researching sorority stuff. So then when I go to create my own, I know exactly what I'm doing and I'm really making something that the customer can use for their sorority recruitment. So I actually screen recorded every single thing that I did in these 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I'll go over the process with you. So I was looking at sorority templates. I just clicked a couple of them that I thought were okay looking, and I took notes on what I noticed. So they're mostly pink. There are leadership. They write about leadership, honors, awards, community involvement. And then I take a look at what's included. So some of them had matching cover letter templates. So I thought maybe I should do that. That's pretty easy to do. Just making cover letter thing. Yeah, I take a look at what things they add into the resume. Because here's the thing, I didn't know that most people join a sorority in freshman year, in their first year of university. I had no idea. So then I have to think, okay, this is a high school student, graduate, applying for a sorority. What is a high school student gonna want in a resume like this? And then I did a bunch of research on sororities. Yeah, I wrote LOL, sorority recruitment is so new to me. I looked at some blogs about sororities and I took notes on what they include. They also include if your mom or dad is in a sorority or fraternity, then they also include that in the resume. That is the thing about picking your niche. Even though I'm good at making resumes, I'm confident in my resume making ability. I have no idea about sororities, so I have to research everything. So when you pick your niche, it's best if you pick a niche where you know at least something about it. For me, I know stuff about resumes. I don't know things about sororities. The most ideal thing is you are making your products based on what is interesting to you and what previous experience you have. So here I'm researching sorority recruitment. And then I also looked at YouTube videos on how to create sorority resumes. Yeah, I watched some YouTube videos. Did you know that sorority cover letters, it's not the actual cover letter that goes to the sorority. It's a letter that you write to somebody who's gonna recommend you. I didn't know that. So I had to learn that. Then here I'm searching sorority types because I'm going to put sample text in it, right? I should know something about sorority. I should know some sororities. So I'm reading Wikipedia, doing a lot of research on this. This whole thing took me 45 minutes, researching. I didn't even start designing. I was thinking about designing, but for the first 45 minutes, I was researching sororities because I don't understand sororities at all. So I was researching just generally, how do sorority recruitment, how does it work? And I was also searching sorority application process. Then something else I was also thinking about is, and this is just a personal interest, is what about discrimination in sororities? Because I noticed, I think I read sororities, a lot of them are just one race. So then I was do Asians? Okay, because here's the thing, I'm going to put sample photos in my Canva templates, right? As an Asian, I would want to put some Asian people pictures in my templates. So then I was searching different sororities and different races, stuff like that. Just reading a lot about sororities. Yeah, searching biggest sororities because I need to, in the template, I'm going to put sample text, right? So I should know some sororities. So I would do my research and then brain dump all this stuff into this document. So I have notes. So just reading a lot on this stuff. Let's skip forward and see what I'm doing. Okay, so then at this point, this was like 45 minutes into researching sororities. Now I'm finally starting to design the template. So I created a US letter size paper on Canva. I named it Workspace. I usually name things Workspace because it's like, this is the place where I'm gonna put all my ideas. It's like my workspace for this. Whenever I start on a new template, I look for what existing templates there are already on Canva. Take a look at the ones that I like. I'll put them into my workspace and then I'll work off of those ones and create a new template. So I don't really start from scratch. Oh, if you're wondering, I do have Canva Pro. I pay for Canva Teams. You totally don't have to. It's just I find that with adding photos into my templates, there's a lot more selection with Canva Pro. For the actual template, I won't use Pro Elements, but if I'm adding sample photos for my marketing listing photos, I will use Pro Elements. So the stuff that the customer gets, when the customer buys my thing on Etsy, I don't have any Pro Elements in there. Hope that makes sense. Yeah, because I do not want my Etsy customer to pay for a Canva Pro subscription. I think a lot of people would be mad. So anyways, I found a resume template on Canva that I like. Then I was just experimenting with different colors, and I decided to use this one as the base of my sorority template. So I was changing the colors. I noticed a lot of sorority resumes were pink, so I was like, okay, let me make a pink one. Then I was looking at my notes at what to include in this resume. So I was like, okay, let me make sure I include all of those, because in this sample resume on Canva, it's for like a fashion stylist and they don't have all the elements I want. So I need to make sure I add everything for a sorority. So here I am designing. Let me just skip forward. But yeah, in the middle of designing, I also take a look at, I go back to look at other Etsy listings. Okay, I'm gonna skip a bit. I'm adding stuff, looking at Etsy templates. Oh, I did use ChatGPT. Let me go back to the ChatGPT part. What was I searching? Canva change spacing in between bullets. Oh yeah, you know how in Word you can like change the spacing in between the bullets, but I think in Canva you really can't. Okay, so ChatGPT, love it. I use it so much for my templates. So here I'm searching, come up with 5 awards for a high school student. So it came up with the awards. I just put them in there. Yeah, and then I format it. So I used ChatGPT a lot actually when making this template. And I do always like to kind of create like a fake person for the template, just so it's easier for people to use. It's easier for people to see what the final result is. And I don't put lorem ipsum. Like a lot of people would put award number 1, award number 2, award number 3. And especially like for the resume, like the description of the resume, it's like lorem ipsum, blah, 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 blah. Like I hate that. I would love to see a sample so people can work off of the sample. This is just me formatting things, using ChatGPT more, come up with 2 jobs for high school students. So ChatGPT did that. I don't even have to think about that. It makes my life so much more easier. So I think I started using ChatGPT in February, a couple months ago, and it has changed my life. I actually use it for a lot of different things in my Etsy shop, like getting ideas, doing research, making sample text, and also making product descriptions. By the way, if you're starting an Etsy shop, please tell me you are using AI in some way, because if you're not, you are really missing out. Actually, I just recently read this in-depth HubSpot AI Trends for Marketers report, which gives a really good overview of what marketers are using AI for. And even though I watch a lot of AI videos on YouTube these days, most of them are really specialized or they show something specific. But this report actually gave me a really good overview of what's happening in the business world with AI and how we can use it for business. So it gives us actionable ways and specific examples of AI tools to use for SEO, getting ideas for what products to make, how to do market research, and repurposing content for social media. It also tells you the important things to pay attention to, like how we should use prompt engineering to get the best results. And that for me has been super important when I am using ChatGPT to come up with the stuff that I need for my Etsy listings. Okay, and there's a really interesting part of this report, and that is the hesitations around AI for marketing. Because these are things I didn't even think about, like plagiarism, bias, over-reliance on AI, and it actually gives you solutions for what you can do. Honestly, you should be keeping up with AI, and if you're not, like, you are really gonna fall behind, because almost every single business these days days is incorporating AI in some way. So a really good place to start is this free HubSpot AI trends report, because it'll give you some ideas of how you can use AI when creating your Etsy listings and if you're going to be promoting your products outside of Etsy. So I'm really grateful for HubSpot because they always provide us with these free resources that are so informational. So thank you, HubSpot, for making these kinds of resources to help us run our businesses better. This is what it looked like at the end. I added in a picture of a girl, and I chose this one specifically because her red shirt works well with the pink. So I thought that was nice. And I like the background, which is like nature. Like all of this is made up. I made all of this up. I used ChatGPT and stuff. Remember when I was in my brain dump document, I had like lists of sororities. So I just copied sororities from there. Pick random universities, Golden Gate University. I basically just like made a fake resume. So I think that looked pretty good. I don't know. I think this looks a lot better than the ones I see on Etsy. Like I would totally use this resume. And a lot of it is just like playing around with the format and stuff. I do use rulers just to make sure everything is lined up properly. So at this point, I'm pretty happy with my design. Double check everything, double check the spacing and everything. And then I'm going to start working on the cover letter part of this. Oh yes, so I asked GPT, like write a cover letter for sorority recruitment. The first one it gave me was too long, so I told it to shorten it, and it was still kind of long. I copy pasted it in. And then what I started to do was I actually did some, oh yeah, and because like in the cover letter, you need to put like an address. So I searched Starbucks in Seattle. Yeah, I just put that one, put like an address. I did some more research on recommendation letters. I used ChatGPT a bit more. I came up with something that I think is a okay letter from a person applying for a sorority to go to the recommender. And then I was like, okay, this is way too long. I really need to shorten this to make it fit. So I shortened it and I thought, okay, that looks pretty good to me. And then I also decided to add a signature there because it just looks better. Just looks better. So I want to share with you some important design tips and Canva tips that I think you will find useful. The first thing is rulers. So for me on my MacBook, I'm clicking Shift R to get to the rulers, but you can also click File and then View Settings, Show Rulers and Guides. So yeah, Shift R. So if you click that, you can see the rulers, and you'll notice that I pretty much have formatted everything based on the rulers. So usually I'll format things and put them together so they look pretty good, just like with my eye. And then at the end, when I'm finalizing the template, I'm going to use the rulers to make sure everything is aligned properly. And I want to show you, if you don't know, so you can see the rulers here, right on top, and then at the side. To create a new line, you just click the top, click it, and then you drag the line to wherever you want it to be. And if you don't want this line anymore, you can drag it up and it disappears. So I'll do the same like that. You can make a new line, you can put, and then remove it. So make a new line, remove it, and then if I don't want to see the rulers, I just click Shift R. So rulers are really helpful for me. Another shortcut I'm always using is the style copy. Let's say I want to make this thing like the exact same like color and font and size as this text. So you can manually click it here. So you can copy the style and then paste the style. But when you're designing templates, I find that I actually do this a lot. So there is a shortcut for that, and that is Option Command C for copying the style. And then I'm going to click on the thing I want to paste the style to, and Option Command V, like that. So I'm always using this all the time. Okay, so actually there's a complete list here, and I think it will show you what it is on Windows. Yeah, so this is good. The copy style, copy text style, Option Command C, and then Option Command V, that's for MacBook. And then for Windows, it is Alt Control C and Alt Control V. So that is the one that I probably use the most. And then the next one that I use the most is bringing things forward and bringing things back. Let's say, for example, I actually want this thing to be on top of this thing. So what you do is, if you just click position, like these are all the things you can do, right? So let's say I want to bring this one forward. So I'll move it forward, move it to the back, that brings it to the very, very back. Did you see that? Like, you can see that these the flower things are in front of it. So I actually want to let's bring it to the front and then backward. So it just goes backward one layer. And then let's say I want to put it to the back of this pink thing. So I'm going to click backward again. And then it goes back. And then if I want to make it even go more back, it's like that. So forward, forward, forward. But it's really such a hassle to click these manually. So I learned these shortcuts for this, and this is, so command and then this thingy, and then command that thingy, arrange elements to front, option command this, option command that. So I basically memorized these. And so now when I'm working on my stuff, okay, let's say I want to move this to the very back. So I can do that. I can move it forward to the very front, move it back 1, 2, 3, forward 1, 2, 3. So this is really useful. This is my cousin's dog. Oh my god, isn't he so cute? Say hi. Okay, there is one more thing I want to show you that is super duper useful if you're like making a variation of a template, or you just want to change the font of everything in the template. What you can do is, let's say right now this is like Montserrat, right? And let's say we want to change it to Canva Sans. So I'm going to click Canva Sans. And then, did you know that you can change all of them? So everything that is in the Montserrat font, you can change to Canva Sans. So I'm going to change all. Okay, so watch this one change. Change all. There. Now, like, everything has changed. Everything. See? This one is Poppins. So I could change this to Canva Sans too. And then, see, I only changed this one. But then if I want to change all of them, like this, I would change all. Oh, I think this one was Montserrat originally. But yeah, I did not know that you could change all. So I used to just do them all manually, and it was so much work. Okay, another thing I want to show you is transparency. So you might know this, but with transparency, you can, if I want to make these flowers lighter, I can make them like 50% transparent or less, like that. Something else I use it on, let me see, like if I want to make this a bit more transparent, I can click the transparency and do that. Like, that looks pretty good too. Okay, and then another thing that I really like to play around with is the font spacing. So you can definitely change the font here, but I think a lot of people don't realize that you can play with the letter spacing and it makes it look like a completely different font. So this is the spacing in between the letters. Let me show you in between the letters. Like if it's like that, like this font compared to this looks completely different, right? And then you can also play with line spacing. So I always play around with letter spacing, and it just like creates a different effect. Now, if you're wondering, like, Dina, how do you just like come up with the designs? Like, how do you know what looks good? I think a lot of you might struggle with this if you are designing things for the very first time. How do you really know what looks good? Like, what do you need to learn? Graphic design theories and stuff like that. And for me, I don't have any professional or academic training in graphic design. Like, I don't really use like Illustrator or anything like that. Like, I kind of know the basics, but I don't really know how to use it. So the advice I can give you for designing is actually just to look at a lot of things and you take a note of what you personally like. So for me, when I'm looking at like Etsy listings or when I'm looking at different kinds of templates that are on Canva to work off of, I'm going to look at the format of things and just see what stands out to me personally. And I think everybody's going to have like a different style that they like. For me, I like the minimalist style, not super duper complicated, like simple, straightforward. And actually, when I'm browsing things on Etsy, those minimalist kind of designs are the ones that stand out to me. So when I am designing things, like I basically design things to how just what looks good to me personally. And I think that comes with experience as well. Like I've been using Canva for at least 5 years to do things. I also did use Photoshop before for designing a bunch of different things when I was in university. And I think the more you design and the more you look at things and the more you look at what stands out to you in a certain design, the more you're going to get better at it and the more you're going to get faster at it. The most practical tip I can give you is actually the rulers tip, the guides tip. So just making sure everything is lined up properly, like that is just really going to make everything flow a lot better. Let me give you an example of something you might not really think about. So this photo right here, like, I mean, this photo could be this big, right? This photo could also be like this small, but why did I choose to place it where it is? And why did I choose that size? The reasoning is, let me go back and put the rulers on, is I actually wanted to make it lined up with this text right here and the bottom of this. So that's why I placed it here. And if I zoom in a bit, you'll see that this Canva thing, this box, this text box actually goes out, but I wanted to make the photo lined up with the, pretty much with, okay, it's not exactly where the text starts, but pretty much where the top of this white text starts. Actually, I should have made it, if I paid more attention to it, I should have made it like that, actually. But I think when I was designing it, I just, like, this to me looked good enough. And like the bottom of this is lined up with the bottom of this. And like another thing is making sure like all of these are lined up. Like when you put things in, Canva's really great because it gives you like these lines. Like this means it's the middle of this thing, and then if I bring it closer, you're gonna see that this can line up with the other text. Wait, it's not letting me. There, see this line? You see those lines? Okay, so Canva's actually really great with that. It gives you these like dotted lines, so I'm a big fan of Canva. Okay, now I want to show you how to create a variation of a template. So this is the first one that I posted, and I posted another one which is basically the exact same but a different color. So this is the first one, and remember, if you watched my 1-hour tutorial, you will have seen that I made another one that's just like another color, so that for my listing photos, I can show people like, hey, you can customize it. And then actually when I sell this template, they actually get the 2 colors here. But since I already changed the color and I found another girl for this photo, I turned this into another variation. So this is the exact same thing as this one. I just made it into a new listing. It's the exact same thing. For the marketing photos, I just swapped it. And then for the template that I'm selling, it's just like swapped. So for each new template that I make, I usually have like a duplicate, but like another color that's basically the exact same thing. And then maybe I'll come up with like 4 to 6 more templates that are like slight variations. Like maybe I'll change the text font and then maybe the formatting, like just a tiny bit. Like maybe I'll make this banner thingy a little bit smaller. Maybe I'll add like another section. So when you make one template, you can make a bunch of variations. So for like the first template that I designed, it took me 2 hours, 30 minutes to do the research and the design of it. But if I make a variation, it takes like 5 minutes to 30 minutes, depending on how much I change. Oh my gosh, my throat is getting hoarse. Give this video a thumbs up because I've been talking for a really long time, so I can explain these things to you, and hopefully this helps you out. So give this video a thumbs up and let me know in the comments if this has been helpful to you and what is the most helpful thing so far. Oh yeah, another thing I wanted to mention is when I make variations, I'm pretty lazy, so I just copy it's like the exact same description. Like I just basically duplicate the listing and like it's the exact same description. For the listing title, I usually keep it the same, or I'll just like swap a few words, or like I'll change the order of the word just to make it a bit different, but usually it's like basically the same thing. Okay, I want to show you how I organize my Canva when I have a variation. So in my Start Your Etsy checklist, which you can get access to, it's in the video description. I actually have this entire checklist that will help you if you're just starting a Etsy shop. I talk about how to do brain dump, market research tools, making a table if you are deciding on your niche still. But there's one other new section that I just added, and that's how to organize your Canva folders. So for each new template that I make, I basically have 4 documents in the Canva folder. So for each new listing, I create a new folder in Canva, and then I have 4 things. I have workspace, template, marketing, and access PDF. The workspace is where I design the template, and then the template also has the sample photos. So this is a workspace document that I have. This is like the final thing with the photos, and then and then there's all the garbage stuff, or like the sample Canva templates that I use to make my own template. So this is basically like, yeah, a workspace where I create the final thing, but then I also have like inspiration and brainstorm ideas of from other places. Okay, and then the next thing I have is the template itself, which is the one that the customer gets through a link in the Access PDF, which is here. So the template is basically the same thing as the workspace, but I deleted all the garbage and I deleted the photos, so the customer can actually use it and put in their own photos. And then I usually change the name part. So originally it was Terry Jamieson in the actual workspace. And these are the photos that I put into the marketing. Does that make sense? But the template itself has no photos, and then I usually change the name part to just your name, so it looks like a template, and then I keep everything else. You see, this is still Terry Jamieson, and I keep these things because I want to show the customer an example of what to include. So this is the template with the 2 color schemes, and then the next thing I have is the marketing. So this is the marketing document with all my listing photos. And then the last thing I have is the Access PDF. This is the PDF that I attach to my Etsy listing. So that's the thing they get when they buy the listing. The downloadable PDF, which is here. This is the thing. This thing is the thing that I attach. So this thing, when you open it, that thing is this Access PDF. And this has the link to the Canva template. So when they click this link, it goes to the template link, which is in the template, the customer template. It is this template link. So this link I put right here. Each listing has its own folder. There are 4 things. I usually create them in this order: workspace, then template, then marketing, then access. And then I'll create the video, which if you want to learn how I created the video, go watch my 1-hour tutorial. And then when you make a variation, I basically will make a copy of all of them. So I'll click this thingy, make a copy. I'll make copies of all of them, and then I'll move them into a new folder called Sarah Jamieson, because that's what the other one is called. And then I will change the name so that it is like Sarah Jamieson instead of Terry Jamieson. And then basically I'll have the exact same documents, and then I'll go in and change what I need to change. So for example, in the workspace, I'll just swap the 2 color schemes. In the template, I'm going to swap the 2 color schemes. So the purple one is first and then the pink one is next. And then for the marketing photos, I'm also going to change that up and make the purple one first. For the access document, I'm going to get the template link from this template, from the Sarah Jamieson template, and then put it into the access PDF. So like now in my first Etsy shop, I have more than 45 listings. So yes, I do have 40 freaking folders in my Canva, and it can get very hectic. So that's why I organize everything. I have like a name for everything. Like I would name it Sarah Jamieson, not just sorority resume number 1, sorority resume number 2, because honestly it can be really easy to get confused. So that's why I name it like the exact name that I have in the sample template. And obviously once you finish designing all the stuff in Canva, you're gonna like download what you need to download and then put it onto your computer, right? So here is my MacBook Finder. For Windows, that would be your Windows Explorer. This one is the Terry Jamieson one. Jamieson, and then this one is the Sarah Jamieson one, and I usually name it like 1 and then 2, and then if I create another one, it's going to be 3, and then for each one I have the marketing photos saved, and then I have the access PDF, and then I also have the video in the folder, and then these are the banner and the logo for the Etsy shop. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know in the comments what you found the most helpful, and give me a thumbs up because my throat is hoarse and I'm doing this for all of you. Hopefully it helps out, and let me know if you have any suggestions on any other like tutorials that I should make in the future. And if you haven't watched my 1-hour tutorial on how I go from market research to designing everything and making the listing photos and making everything, doing the policies and uploading the new listing, go watch that now because it'll really help you out if you are just starting an Etsy shop. Also, that video took me like 20 to 30 hours to make.